Welcome everybody for Tuesday live training. Today's Tuesday live training is relationships with family and friends, and this is the 5D version. What do I mean by this is the 5D version? It means that the information that I'm giving for tonight is actually really based on what we are going through right now. The shifts that we're going through, the changes that we're going through, how much we're changing, and if we continue to do the same things over and over, we're not going to necessarily assist ourselves in what's of our highest benefit. So with that being said, that is the whole idea of the 5D. So it's talking about the relationships with family and friends in the terms that we need to know right now with the energetic shifts that are going on the earth right now. And excuse the... But, hey, come on. So I am in Louisiana at this moment, Paxton. Hey. I'm in Louisiana at this moment, so if you hear a little bit of dogs barking or anything like that, what can I say? Visiting nieces, and I'm actually really excited to be here with my family at this moment. So again, welcome to tonight's video training. I'm gonna wait for everybody to get on, and if you're popping on right now, let me know. Comment below. Let me know, what you're excited for. Or let me know what you've been going through. I mean, has it been tough for you? Has it been crazy for you? Has it been chaotic? Do you feel like you're in a time warp and you went back for 10 years, 5 years, like it's 5 years ago? Like all the knowledge that you have gotten throughout this time period, it feels like you have that knowledge still, but it feels like we've gone back a bit. This is what's been going on for a lot of people on a collective consciousness. So this is why I'm asking you. So comment below. Let me know if you feel like you're in a time warp. If things are coming up that you normally don't have issues with. For example, if you've been doing way better with the concurrent loops, the thought patterns. Say you've been doing a lot better with them, but then all of a sudden they came back and it's like you can't do anything about it, right? This is what's going on a collective consciousness level right now. So I'll be getting into a little bit of that, but yeah, that's what we're going through, and I'm here to assist as much as possible. The biggest thing about that is it's about acceptance and knowing where we are, that we haven't gone backwards, and that we actually are still moving forward, even though it feels like we've gone back 5 years, 10 years. It's like time warp type thing. That just has to do with the collective consciousness. It's more of like a this too shall pass, as in it'll just take a little bit of time for that, for this feeling like we're in this time warp to pass, okay? So that's just a little bit words of encouragement with the shift that's going on right now, and maybe what we've been through for the last week or so. Just a little bit of encouragement. And as everybody is getting on, a couple of reminders. We do still have, so next month in September is when we're going to have the portal to enlightenment. Until then, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we will continue with the Tuesday live trainings. And if there's something, that you're really interested in, let me know, or like any questions with what's going on, for what's been happening, post it in the group. I look at the group all the time. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know how you're doing in the Lightworkers and Healers tribe. So Melissa said, hey Lauren and tribe, yes, feeling like I'm on the hamster wheel on a personal level. Yes, so just to let everybody know, this is normal. It's not you, and you're not digressing, okay? Just to let you know, it's normal. It's not you, and you're not digressing. And that soon, this cycle, we will move through, okay? And that's the biggest thing whenever it comes to cycles, right? Is that cycles, whether it's smaller cycles, right? Whether it's smaller cycles in our personal life, whether it's, bigger cycles. I mean, everything has cycles. So we may be on the up, yet we may go down, and then we think we're digressing. But the fact is that we're not, and that we've come so far, guys. Seriously, pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back for how far you've gotten. Don't take recently into effect. No, go into your heart, maybe. Just feel how far you've gotten, and remember this, and give yourselves a pat on the back for it, okay? Give yourselves a pat on the back for it. So, there we go. Now I see everybody's comments, and we are good to go. So what we're going to be talking about for today, and welcome Dami, Sam, Melissa, everybody that is hopping on for right now, Rosie, Tanya, super excited that you can be here. Today we're going to be talking about needing approval from those that are closest to us. Number one, we're going to be talking about feeling issues within friends and family. So we may feel what's going on with them, or knowing that something's not right, that they may not see themselves. Okay? That as we continue to move and grow more and more, we're able to see things in other people that maybe they're not seeing for themselves. This is, a lot easier whenever it's clients. If, say, you do inner type of healing or therapeutic work for other people, that may be easier. But whenever it comes to family and friends, it's different. It's different because many times we need to feel accepted, right? We don't want that client mentor relationship. We want that closeness. We want them to see us for who we are, and we also want them to open up to us, okay? So that's why it's so different with family and friends. That's why it's so different. So we're going to be talking about that. And then we're going to be talking about how to approach difficult conversations with them. This, especially with family members. And I know I talk about family members a lot, and it also could be friends, but how to approach difficult conversations with them. This is talking about, or going into, why maybe how we were explaining ourselves in the past doesn't work anymore, and how we are shifting, and how to explain ourselves now. Okay? That's the major topics that we're going to be going into. And again, everybody, thank you so much for coming. So let us begin. So the first thing we're going to talk about is needing approval, okay? Yes, we've talked about before is that we've needed approval or confirmation from the people we love. Why? Because we want to be accepted. We want to be accepted. Because we're souls too, just like they want us to accept them, right? So we know this, okay? This is not new, right? This is not new. And it's something that we know. We all want to be accepted. But let's also go deeper into it. Because we're going deeper within ourselves, right? Because we are going deeper within ourselves and our vibrations are rising and we're getting more in tune with our bodies, we're also getting more in tune and connected with other people. Remember, what happens on our inside also happens on our outside, in our reality. So the more we're getting in tune with ourselves and our bodies, we're also feeling and being more connected to our friends and family. What does this mean? It means that we are seeing things and feeling things about them before they do sometimes. Or maybe they don't see it, and maybe we're the only ones that do. Maybe they're going through really hard times and they're blocking everybody out, and we see a wall up. What's the first thing that happens when we see a wall up, right? What's the first thing that happens when we see a wall up with someone we love? That offends us. That offends us because we want to be loved and accepted, which means open gates, right? Which means open gates. So on some level, if we feel like they have a wall up and they're shutting us out, we may take it personally. We may take it personally, even on it, because we may feel it on an energetic level, and we feel like Okay, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Why is this person not opening up to me? Why is this person blocking me out? What we need to see with this, and this has to do with needing the approval from them, needing to be loved and have that, that openness, because again, on an energetic level, we're human beings, but on a soul level, we want that soul connection. So when we feel a wall blocking us out, it's like their walls aren't open to us, but they're closed off. We immediately take it personally, and we take it personally because, again, we want to be accepted. But what we need to see and realize that with everything that is going on in the world right now, and think about the last few weeks for you, or last week with the last crazy shift. By the way, I just have to remind everybody, and it kind of goes along with one of the posts in the Lightworkers and Healers tribe with the resonance, that the 23rd, August 23rd is through the 30th. So what we're going through right now is major shifts, and the big theme of this major shift is the rapid manifestation. Okay, so that's just a little reminder, and if that comes up again, we'll go deeper into that if we have time. But with that being said, we just, we're going through some crazy times, and people, think about what you're going through right now. Maybe you feel like you're going in a time warp. Maybe you feel like you haven't progressed. Like it's like you went backwards in a way. For me, it felt like I digressed 10 years. I literally felt like it was like I was living 10 years ago. The only difference, though, and this is why I said this in the beginning, the only difference is that we have the knowledge, right? Because we have grown so much, we have the knowledge that that's not actually where we are. And this is what I was talking about with cycles, that we go through cycles. And it's okay. Just because we feel like we're digressing, we feel like we're going 10 years back, or however long that is with you, basically, it doesn't necessarily have to be 10 years back. It will go with this. This is like a mini collective consciousness shift. So there's the manifestation one, but this one goes within that. Because I normally say the bigger shifts in general, the umbrella ones. But when it actually goes back, so for me, it felt like a 10-year time warp. What's happening right now is we're actually going back to however many years ago that we need to see and to release. We don't have to do anything about it. We feel it, we accept it, and we just let it be. Because we have the knowledge that we're not there anymore. That's the past. It's not us now. So if you feel this and you go into, you're still going into this time where we feel like we're 10 years in the past, we're 5 years in the past, we're 20 years in the past, whatever we need to really experience again, so that our body, our physical body can so that we can release it. We just need to know and remember and repeat to ourselves that we are not where we were. That's a reminder. And that it's just a phase. That we'll be through it, okay? Even if it feels like the darkest of times, because we're going back however far, remember that it's just a phase, so that our bodies can physically release that time period, release those pains, release that hurt, okay? With that being said, because we're going through this right now, and just the hard stuff recently, or even before that, our family members, our friends, including us maybe, are putting up walls. We're putting up walls because we almost can't take more, right? We almost can't take more. We can, right? Everything that's handed to us is for a reason. Like we never get too much to handle. We always have assistance with it. And we always have help, even if we don't always feel that help. Whether it's on the energetic level, whether it's on the physical level, whether it's both. But with this being said is, when we are feeling this way with family and friends because we're a lot more in tune with ourselves, and we feel when people put walls up with us, to remember that sometimes people just need time. They need time to go through whatever they're going through. So what can we do about that? If they're blocking us and in a way because they have their walls up, does that mean we push through? No. We give them the love, and if they need any help in any way, we assist. But chances are if those walls are up, that means they're not asking. It doesn't mean anything about us. It just means that's where they are, and maybe they don't even want to talk about it. So when we feel the walls up with other people, remember, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about them going through things, and we feel the walls up, and to remember that it's not about the needing approval. It's just about being there for them, and that it's not that they're putting walls up just to us. They may be putting, walls up to everybody, right? So this is important to mention because a lot of people are going through ups and downs with friends right now. With friends, and family. But family, we know, stays in our lives. Friends, depending, right? Unless, major cataclysmic things happen and the family somehow separates. But friends, in many cases, can come and go. So, this is to help people realize that if someone has a wall up, it may not be about you. It may be that's just what they're going through, and that our sense and need of approval makes us immediately think and push back into those walls like, hey, why aren't you letting me in? I can help you. I see it. I can help you. I can be there for you. But sometimes that's not what they're needing. Sometimes it's just time. Just like what we're going through right now. With this time warp that we're going through right now, with all these wounds that are coming up right now, sometimes it's just time that we need. Sometimes it's just time that we need. So to remember that with them. So with the friends part of it, okay, like I said, a lot of people are going through a time where, and family, but with friends are going through a time where we may not know, in the moment. I'll give you an example because it's the best way for me to explain it at this moment. I have a friend that's really close to me and has been really close to me since 2 years old, seriously. We've been friends since then. And I've been feeling so blocked off by her. Why? Because I sense it. Because I know she's not letting me in. I know she's not letting me in. I took it personally. Because it's like, well, why? Like, I can be there for you. And with these friends, when it comes to friends, I don't make it the mentor client relationship. No, it's completely a different dynamic. But with her, I felt like she was blocking me out. What happened to me was I wanted to push. I wanted to say, hey, what's going on? Why are you blocking me out? Are we supposed to, express ourselves? Yeah. Truthfully, I only got like a minuscule time to express myself because it's been going with life. So I haven't gotten to express myself fully with her. But immediately my thought was, we're just separating. Maybe we're growing apart, right? I'm in all this spiritual stuff. She just got baptized Catholic because she's going a different direction, with her life. But does that mean, okay, our friendship is over with? No. This is why you want to know in particular. We can't group people together. We can't generalize. It's person by person. So what we can do, right? What we can do with our friends, if we don't know whether we're just growing apart or if we feel like they're blocking us out because we feel that, remember, number one, that you can give it time. But what we can do, a little to do, a little to do, is you can make a list of friends or family that you feel like you're losing your connection with. This is important because right now we need community. And I am very blessed to say I have a tribe of friends that have been with me since 2 years old, 5th grade, 7th grade. And again, it's not the mentor friend relationship. No, it's just friends relationship. They're not into spiritual stuff. Does that mean, we can't connect on the same level? No. I mean, correct. I said that correctly. That does not mean we cannot connect on the same level. Why? Because just because they're in separate lives completely, they're not spiritual at all, it doesn't mean that we have to separate because we don't see the same. What do I mean by this? If we're, completely going in different directions, which me and my friends are, but they're not open and they don't, accept me and love me, well then, okay, that friendship maybe wasn't the best, right? Or, maybe growing apart. But we can still be friends with people when they're going in completely different directions. We don't lower our vibrations to meet up with them. Instead, we give them time. We give them love. We give them acceptance of who they are no matter what. And we give them time. Because many times we're the ones, and others, right? Everybody has their part. But we're the ones that are assisting them with their own growth. Many times we don't see that though. So for example, there's times where and this was in the past, I did not get recognition from my friends. I would give them guidance, maybe they needed some guidance. I would give them guidance and I would not get any recognition, as in they wouldn't say, oh, that was helpful. Oh, that wasn't helpful. I was just left there on the curb, not knowing if they even understood what I was saying. On another hand, a lot of times they would be I felt like it was just kind of going over their head. That's what it felt like to me. Later on is when they said, no, I actually listened to you. Some stuff I don't understand, but I actually listened to you. The reason being is because sometimes we're planting the seeds. But whenever it comes to a friendship, it's not about us always giving that guidance. Many times it's for us to just listen. Which we know that, okay? So I'm not going into that. So with that being said, the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of friendships are in that transition. A lot of family is in that transition, right? People, you're growing drastically. People are going through crazy things. You're going spiritually. They're just trying to figure out who they are in general. And there's this huge gap, and then we feel like they're blocking us out because of all the stuff's going on, or they're not allowing us to be, there for them for whatever reason. And then immediately we come to assume that we're separating, so maybe we shouldn't be friends, and maybe we're putting those walls up for ourselves because we don't want to get hurt in that way. And the reason why I'm telling you this too is because now that we're going through the rapid manifestation, the energetic shifts that are coming in right now, what we're going through right now, the more that we think about that we're distancing with people and that maybe we're just not meant to be friends, that's what's gonna create that rift in your relationship. That is what is going to create the rift in your relationship, not what you have already. It's those beliefs. The more you keep honing on to and looking into and putting focus in the fact that you and your friends seem very distant right now, or they're blocking you out in some way, and it's hurting you, and you're just putting, a lot of energy and focus into that, you're creating more of that. So here's the little to do. Exactly what I said, or was going to say. Get a pen and a paper. Write down friends, exactly what I said, and then write down what they mean to you. what they mean to you. What does your heart say? Does your heart tell you that this is a relationship to keep? Or does your heart say this is a relationship to let go of? Find that clarity. And again, really access your heart with this, right? You have the tools and techniques to do so with accessing your heart. Get the clarity. Is this a relationship I want to keep? Or is my heart saying this is a relationship I need to let go of? Because if it's a relationship that you are wanting to keep, but you feel distance and you feel like they're blocked off from you right now, then you're creating that because you're putting more energy into it, right? Okay, let me explain that part a little better. If you're putting energy and focus into the fact that your relationship is separate and you feel like you can't get it back, and yeah, you're in that like mix, remember and remind yourself that this relationship is one you want to keep. And that's when you just put love into the relationship. Love and acceptance of where they are. And in time, you can see where it goes. So Sam said yes, but some friends haven't really changed, so it's hard to continue the relationship with them. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with acceptance of who they are, of what they choose, of what they're going through, even if you don't see eye to eye with it. And you can have a relationship with that. It's a little bit harder, but you can. Which is why you want to write down these friends and ask your heart if, it's really time to let go. It's really time to change. Right? So that's something that you can look into. And if it's something that, if you feel that it's still for them to be in your life, then just put love into the relationship and accept where they are with you or with everybody. Maybe they're blocking people out. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Lisa, for that. Thank you. Okay, so whenever we say we do feel, that we know something is wrong with them, and we try to, and I say something wrong, like they're going through something. Maybe they don't see it. And we say we express it, okay? Because we're here to express. If it feels good, if it feels heart-centered to express it to them, then express it with love. Come from your heart. With that being said, if, we notice something, right? And they don't recognize it, and we tell them they could block us out. But a lot of times it might take time for them to process it. Okay? Think about it as if we're continuously growing, and this could be with any friendship, but if we're continuously growing in our spiritual path, we're letting go of the old stuff, our vibrations getting higher. I mean, these are just ways to explain it. And imagine them going through a lot of stuff, and we go through a lot of stuff too. Everybody is going through changes, right? A lot of times we're here just to plant seeds. A lot of times it doesn't have to have an outcome. And sometimes in some of the relationships, in like an aspect of the relationship, say I have a friend who, I feel like we're distancing, but I'm still giving her so much love. And I'm letting go of the fact that I feel like we're distancing. I feel like, there's a wall up. Okay, because I still know I love her, and I know deep in my heart that our relationship, I don't feel to give up on it. But I also don't feel to force, because I know and I feel, right? My heart says that she just needs time to process what she's going through on her own. Say in the aspect of that relationship, I tell her what's going on, what I feel within her. Say if I know there's issues going on and I tell her that, we are planting the seeds. Because say my I've really worked on myself in personal growth, okay? And my vibration is higher, and hers is where it is. It doesn't mean that one's better than the other, but she's going through her own stuff. She's going on a different path. Sometimes we are just seed planters. Maybe that's what is needed in our relationships. So the dynamics of relationships over time can change. So it's not a yes, they're my friend, no, they're my friend. Sometimes we're there to comfort, right? And just let them talk. Sometimes we're there just to plant seeds, and maybe not much more than that at that moment. Sometimes we're there to actually give them guidance. Sometimes we're there so they can help us, so that we can open up to them. Okay, it's not just about us helping other people. It's us being who we truly are with our friends. This is not a guy, again, mentor, client, or mentor, client situation. So that's just a little reminder with that, okay? Now, when it comes to approaching difficult situations, I do have to say this first. It's about, and I know I said this before, but I'm getting to reiterate this because it's really important. It's about accepting where the relationship is. It doesn't mean, they want me to say it in this way. It doesn't mean a relationship is going downhill if I'm playing one role instead of the role that I played my whole life with this person. Maybe our dynamic of the relationship changed. Maybe I am just a seed planter right now. Does it mean the relationship is less? No. We play certain roles, and those roles change. Maybe, maybe this person isn't letting me in at this moment because she's not letting anybody in because she's going through, difficult times. Does it mean the relationship is worse? No. We need to stop putting labels on our relationships with friends. We need to stop putting labels on our relationships with family as if my relationship is good right now. My relationship is bad right now. My relationship is not, you could say it's not where I want it to be. But with that being said, it's not about that. It's learning and accepting that we are playing different roles, and every role is needed and perfect. So if you think about the family members in your life and you feel you're changed roles in that relationship, is it really a bad thing? Right? Or is it just different? And maybe that's what's needed at this moment. So that's a thought to ponder with the relationships that you're in. Okay? Family or friends, the thought to ponder. Is it really a bad thing? Or is it what's needed? And this is something you can journal on. Again, you can write down, like if you're having any, thoughts about certain friendships, whether to let it go, whether not to, whether you think the relationship is not as good as it was, right? Maybe it's perfect. Maybe it's exactly where it needs to be. So maybe do some meditation on that. So let's talk about, how to approach difficult conversations with our family, our loved ones, okay? This is important because we're changing so much. I know I teach all about being heart-centered, and in difficult moments, difficult times, we want to come from our hearts, okay? Yes, we want to come from our hearts. I've said that over and over. So as much as you can go into your heart, access your heart, and come from that space of neutrality, perfect. Said it over and over. I'm going to continue preaching it because that's the neutrality. That's it. That's the heart space. That's where we come from. Neutrality, right? And that's where we find the truth. And again, as we're in the 5D, the heart and the mind are connecting. But here's the thing. We are so used to, for other people around us, saying things and explaining things to other people in a logical sense. You know, maybe we are the logical sense type, right? In a logical sense to where they understand. But let's think about how we're working now. Do we fully come from logic? No. What do I mean by this? I mean, we may, but let me explain. The idea of logic in the past and still now, which we're, working out of, is that, okay, I'm going to choose this job because it makes this amount of money. Or I'm going to choose this friend because this person is there for me during a divorce. That makes logical sense of why we are doing something. But what about the times that we don't have that logic? Many of you in here are very logical, right? We need to make sense of it before we choose it. There's times maybe where we'll do it just because there's not that much backlash. But whenever it comes to big decisions, there's quite a few of you in here, not all of you, but quite a few of you in here that's like, well, it needs to make sense before I actually do it, right? So of course we're getting away from this. More so being pushed in this direction because it's all about following our hearts, wherever our hearts are guiding us, right? Many times we don't know what's to come. So that logical basis, what we think is quote unquote logic, is not relevant because we don't know what's to come. Like we can't choose something in a logical sense if we don't know the outcome. Because logic in the past is we're choosing this because of this and this is what it'll bring. Or just because of this. But what if we don't know those answers? But that's what we're teaching right now, or I'm teaching, is that sometimes we don't know the answers, but we do it because our hearts say to do it, right? As we continue to trust in our hearts, to trust in our guidance, to make those steps, even if they don't make complete sense. So we know this, right? I've been teaching this, is that we take steps forward even if we may not know the outcome because it feels right, because our hearts are saying, yes, go this way, even if you don't see the bigger picture. But now let's put somebody else in the mix. We put somebody else in the mix, and now we have to explain that to them? Well, you see, I am, especially if they're a logical person, family, right? Family. They want to know why you're doing everything, or where's the logic in it, depending on your family. So, say, I'm going to use my mom as an example because this just happened. And this is something I've worked on in the past, and it was just a reminder for this week. She got mad at me for something. Family, right? And I tried to explain my actions with logic. What did that mean? What does that mean? It means I was pulling in different areas logic to try to make up, to explain something, or to explain why I did what I did, instead of saying, I don't know why I did it. My heart just told me to go to make those moves. So the logic, she's thinking that I made my decisions, and we're talking decisions here. She's thinking that I made my decisions based off of the logic that I told her, not based off of my heart, whenever I don't even know the outcome of what I did all the time. I trusted my heart, so I made decisions based off of that. But yet I'm trying to use logic in the old-fashioned sense, where this is why I did it, and I did it because of this, but there is no because of this. Because I chose my heart. Because I did actions based off of my heart, right? So, How do we sit there and explain to people, family members, that we're doing things because it feels right to us, but it won't make sense to them? How do we explain that? It's not about using logic anymore. It's about speaking exactly how we're actually working, how we're actually thriving, right? So my mom, whenever I did use the logic, it didn't go through. It was not a good conversation. Whenever I told her how I actually function, which is I went into my heart, I made that decision based off what my heart was guiding me to. And then because of that, this is what happened. This was the outcome because, it's already passed. I already know what happened now. And then I made a decision based off of that. And I was like, I understand that you won't understand how I work because you haven't done this before. You haven't worked in this fashion before. So you don't have experience with it. And even if you don't understand it, that's okay. But this is how I work. That by itself, explaining to her how I work in the best way I can and why I made some of the decisions in that way, the conversation was so much better. The conversation was so much better. Number one, it's because when we're coming from our hearts, and that was coming from my heart. When we're coming from our hearts, people, whether they consciously know it or not, they accept it more so. And I'm not saying consciously all the time, but on some level, they accept it because they feel it. They feel the truth in it. Even though consciously they can say, oh, that doesn't make sense. You're crazy. You're wacko for doing things that way. You need the logic. You know how I said sometimes we are seed planters? So sometimes we're doing things other people aren't doing, right? This can be this can be part of planting a seed, right? Yes, other people may not do it as you do. But when you do it and when you choose that way and then you express it in that way, they may not understand it, but it's still planting a seed for their growth. So even if we get backlash because they're so used to using the logic in a sense of I have to choose this because it makes sense of the outcomes, what they're looking at is trying to control the future. And you remember, or for people that have been following me, what I preach all the time is that our possibilities of what we create are endless. And that when we put blinders on and we say these are our only possibilities that are possible, then we're missing out of other possibilities, right? So other people who do the same thing think, I need to do this, I need to make this decision because this is what I'll get from it. They're actually not so much opening the door to different, Lily Cat said it, infinite possibilities, right? But if we take a stand, do things the way we do, then explain it in the true form, in its purest form. They may not understand it. We may get backlash, but hey, we may be planting a seed for them. Is it hard sometimes to be, one of the first group of people to start making these changes? No one ever said it was easy. But look at what's created. Lightning created electricity, right? Everybody else thought they were, I'm not going to go into who created electricity, but everybody thought whomever was crazy. So yeah, listen to our hearts, and when it comes to difficult conversations, don't feel like you have to put it on their level to understand. It's actually better to say it in the purest form that you can say it coming from your heart, even if they don't understand the logic to it, right? Even if they don't understand the logic to it. Does anybody have any questions with what I was just stating right now with how to approach difficult conversations with them? Let me know in the comments. That is the tidbit. So I do want to revamp on what we talked about, okay? Because I threw out a lot in this, and I tend to throw out a lot in the Tuesday live trainings. So guys, feel free to rewatch any of these trainings, because I mean it's a lot. Or it can be, depending on where you are, a lot to take in, and maybe the second time you go into it, you may get different information. But what we talked about is, number one, needing approval from other people, especially if they put up a wall with us because whatever they're going through, to remember not to take that wall personally, and sometimes they may just need time, and that we don't need to force ourselves through, because sometimes they may just need time, and it may not be, again, personal. It may be that they're going through a lot of crap. And to know it's just about being who you truly are with that, okay? And then we do tend to push people away. If we feel like they're putting up a wall, we tend to put up a wall too, right? So let's realize that maybe why they're putting up a wall, and let's not mimic them, because that's maybe not what we need, right? That's not showing love and acceptance with them. Acceptance is accepting the fact that they put up a wall because maybe they're going through some hard times. So it's the needing approval, right? To notice if you're doing something because you need approval from that other person. Number two is feeling issues within themselves that you recognize that they don't. Sometimes if we bring something up, we could be planting a seed. Sometimes because of it, it could trigger them. They may close up. Give them time. And sometimes because if they close up because we triggered them, it could not give us the recognition, and we may feel like they don't understand us, and that's the whole thing of needing approval. So those kind of go hand in hand together. They go back and forth. So realizing that it's not about receiving approval, okay? The third part is how to approach difficult conversations with family and friends. And it's really about staying in our heart center and explaining ourselves in the purest form, even if it doesn't make sense, logical sense, to another person. And Tanya said, completely understood and appreciated. Lily Cat said, prayer hands. So thank you guys. And remember, it is shifting right now. Let's see, when will we be out this? What we've been going through with this time warp stuff, it is still to come. There's still more to come. So just hang on to your bridges. Sorry, I really wanted to say that. I'm sorry, I just had a goofy moment. I really wanted to say hang on to your bridges. But the point is that remember where you actually are, and that you're not back in the past. I'm still thinking of the bridges part. Melissa said, wow, thank you again. You're so very welcome. But remember that even if we still feel like we're in the past or things are coming up in the past, remember that that's not where we are anymore. So if you feel like depression, if you feel these thoughts not stopping, you can't, do some technique to let them go, and they're just there, it's just about accepting it. It's not about fighting it. It's not about fighting it. And to know that this is just a phase, and that we will be going through it in divine timing. I'm feeling more 3 more days of it. That's all they're giving me right now. Peter said, I pick who I discuss spirituality with. Sow lots of seeds though, and have felt seeds grow in me when time was right for me. Exactly. Thank you, Peter. Thank you for that. Gretchen, thanks, Lauren. Have a good night. Everybody, have an amazing night, and I will see each of you next Tuesday or any of the posts. And remember, this group, let people know how you're feeling, because when we express ourselves, we'll realize, especially the hardships that a lot of people are going through. We can say, hey, I'm going through some crazy stuff. I feel like I'm going backwards. I'm in depression and I haven't been in that in like 10 years. Who's going through crazy stuff too? We'll get a sense of, oh, it's the collective consciousness. It's not just me, right? So if you're feeling anything, feel free to post it in the group. Everybody have a good night. Bye, guys.